For the past 3 years, I have planted and grown garlic in my small urban backyard garden, and I won't be planting it again. This choice stems from three key factors that challenge my ultimate goal of maximizing how much food I can grow for my family of four in my small space. The first factor is that the time-space yield equation does not work. Garlic is planted in my Zone 6 garden in October before first frost, and then it sits in the ground over winter. Then in the early spring, around the same time as our tulips start growing, the garlic begins to grow. For us, that's in April. The garlic has been planted in the ground for about 6 months before we even see any visible growth. Now granted, 3 or 4 of those months are snow-covered winter. From the time you see those green sprouts in April, the garlic still needs a few months to finish cropping. Garlic is ready to be harvested around early to mid-July in my area. So garlic has been in the ground for 290 days before we're able to pull a crop out. And that's the time part of this equation. 290 days is a huge chunk of time to say a year has 365 days. I plant my garlic 9 cloves per square foot, and it takes about 90 heads of garlic to take my family through until the next garlic harvest. That means I need to give up 10 square feet of gardening space for my garlic crop. It takes about 290 days to take garlic from planting to maturity. That's a good chunk of time and gardening space in my small garden, and if I'm going to give a crop those resources, I need it to be high yielding. Do you think garlic checks the high yielding box? Join me for this year's garden harvest to find out how much 90 heads of garlics yielded me. After 290 days in the garden and taking up 10 square feet of gardening space, I harvested just over 4 pounds of garlic. So yeah, not a high yielding crop. I could have planted about 5 tomatoes in that space and gotten a yield of 50 pounds, and it would have only taken 100 days. I do succession plant after my garlic is harvested. This year I went in with a crop of carrots, which does increase my yield for the year from that 10 square feet. But overall, garlic doesn't carry its weight in my garden. The second reason I won't be planting garlic in my garden is pests. Over the past 2 years, my garden has been hit with a relatively new pest called the allium leaf miner. The allium leaf miner is a tiny fly about 3 millimeters long. These itty-bitty flies can destroy the crops in your allium family, so your leeks, your onions, garlic. I have found it quite hard to keep these pests off my onions and garlic because they're so little they can sneak under any row covering. Since I have a small garden, I can't rotate the crop far enough from where I had planted it the year before to use that as a method of prevention. And I don't have access to an organic pesticide that can deal with this pest here in Canada. The damage that these pests cause can result in a lower yield in my garlic, which is already a low yielding crop. Onions are a much higher yielding crop for me that attract the same pest as garlic. So removing garlic from my garden will reduce the amount of crops that will attract the allium leaf miner. We mostly use garlic to flavor our food and not for any medicinal purposes. Onions and herbs are a better use of our gardening space for us to flavor our food than garlic could ever be. To grow garlic, you need seed garlic, which are cloves of garlic that have been reserved for planting that are disease-free. You typically purchase seed garlic in the summer to plant in the fall. This leads me to my third reason why I won't plant garlic again. Seed garlic is expensive for the crop you get. For example, all prices in Canadian dollars, West Coast Seeds sells 3 heads of garlic for $17.99. Let's assume each head has 5 cloves. That gives me 15 cloves to be planted. Each clove will have costed me $1.20. That's before you factor in any shipping, fertilizer, water, time, or any crop loss. I can buy organic garlic from Walmart for about $1.75 a head. Because the time yield space equation doesn't work, I'm better off to use my resources to purchase the garlic we do need than growing it in my limited space. You can save money on seed garlic, like with any seed, by saving some of your garlic crop to replant the following year. But you will need to plant more garlic than your family needs in order to have enough left over to replant. And this only works if you haven't struggled with any pest or disease issues. At the end of the day, what you plant in your garden is up to you. Unless your family eats a large amount of garlic or you use a lot of it in herbal medicine, it isn't worth the time, space, money, or the pest for the yield that you get.